My name is Dr. Stephen Jones. As an organizational psychologist and executive coach, I love to study what allows people to bring out the best in themselves and others. So join me as I welcome top leaders to uncover the future of leadership. Welcome to the Leadership Secret Podcast, where top leaders revealed their insights earned, their wisdom gained, and transformational moments that have defined and redefined their leadership. I'm your host, Dr. Stephen Jones, and today's guest is an amazing leader. I'm going to say that again. Amazing leader. She is an award-winning PR strategist, a crisis communication expert, an entrepreneur, and a local San Diego treasure. My friend, Margie Newman, Tsay. Hi, Margie. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
You did it. You got it right.
I did it. And Margie and I are going to sit down together and really kind of unpack and uncover a few secrets regarding the future of leadership. Yes. Welcome to the Leadership Podcast.
Thanks, Doc. It's awesome to be here.
It is great to be here with you. I am a Margie Newman Tsay fan.
Oh, my gosh. We love each other so much.
Yes.
This could just be 45 minutes of us just telling each other how much we love each other.
You know what I'm saying? Key leadership secret number one. Love yourself and the people you work with.
Yes, surround yourself by people who build you up. I know when I talk to you, I'm going to leave the room with joy and confidence and just this thoughtful energy and this aura about you. And that's what I want to surround myself with. I love time spent with you.
Well, let me tell you a little bit about our guests. So Margie is born and raised in Nashville, Tennessee. She is the founder of Intesa Communication Group. And before founding Intesa in 2012, Margie served as a media relations and social media manager for the Pew Charitable Trust in Washington, D.C. Margie's currently the chair of the corporate board of directors for the YMCA of San Diego County, which is the largest YMCA in the country. She also serves as a board member for the Downtown San Diego Partnership and La Jolla Country Day School. In 2019, Margie was named as Communicator of the Year by the International Association of Business Communicators. But most recently, Margie has been selected as a finalist for the San Diego Business Journal 2025, drumroll please, CEO of the Year. Margie is a frequent podcast guest, event MC, confidence builder, and little known fact, a professional child actress.
That was a beautiful headshot.
And there she is, ladies and gentlemen. So welcome, Margie. Really excited. So let's dive into it.
Yes.
So let's start off with, what is your passion for leadership?
Oh, I have a passion for leadership because you don't have to have a title for it. You don't have to have as much lived experience as you might think you do for it. It's something that you can put out into the world. It's an energy. It's how you show up. And I wish more people knew that they don't have to wait till later in their career or wait for some big title or moment to show leadership. You can show up in any room at any time and lead.
Yes, very good. Talk some more about that concept of not having to have a title, rely on title, but it's leadership at all levels.
It's at all levels because you and I were talking a minute ago as we were setting up about how people will get promoted into roles usually because they're really good at a job they're doing. They're not trained to be leaders or managers or, it's because they're good at the job, and then you find yourself as a leader, but when you've never put it into practice before. So if you start now, if you start at any phase of your career, beginning or middle or end, of showing up as a leader, you can affect that around the people around you. And for me, leadership is whoever shows up and manages context and builds trust and is reliable those people are leaders. You don't have to have a fancy title for that. If you look around the room, a lot of times, yes, that person over there may have the fancy title, but you may find yourself looking over here at this person and you wonder why. They probably are the ones who are usually providing context, and they're really reliable, and you trust their decision making. Those people are leaders. And so for me, growing up in the theater, having high profile jobs in the governor's office or at Pew in DC, I was not the highest ranking person there. But I was managing up to my manager. I was showing up in a leadership mindset. I was providing context, building trust. And so people saw me as a leader, even though I was really young. Those are the skills that make a good leader. So you don't have to have a CEO title to lead.
Yes, so good. Talk a little bit about going from child actress to high impact leader. What's that journey been like for you?
To me, it's all interconnected. I think about how being a professional child actress, I did theater, musical theater, and voiceover work. And you have to be coachable. You have to work in teams. You have to show up on time. You have to have your script memorized, so be off book at a certain time. You've got to take direction well, because never are you the smartest in the room or the one who knows everything in the room. You got to be creative. You got to know when to read the room. There's all of these things that then as you go into your professional career, I went to Auburn University and graduated with a radio, television, film degree, and then came out and went directly into interning for a man who became governor of Tennessee. And so it's not that I went to school for political science. I didn't go to school for, communications like I do it now. But to me, the theater kid things, the managing up, the being coachable, the being reliable, building trust, leadership qualities, that is why I've been so successful everywhere I go, is because of those, what I would call soft skills of leadership, even at a time where you're not actually a leader, you are. So to me, it's very natural. I mean, now I remember my 6th grade teacher, Miss Henderson, said, "You talk too much in class. You shouldn't talk so much. You'll never get paid to talk for a living." And I'm like, well,
you showed
watch
her.
me now. And to me, I help people learn how to read teleprompters. I help people build up their confidence when they communicate. Growing up on a stage, that is when I'm at my most confident, is when I'm on a stage or in front of people. So to me, it feels like a gift that I can take that and help other people with it. That is leadership, even though it's not, none of those things bore a fancy title. I own a company now. My business partner and I own and operate Intesa, but that's not why I'm a leader. I'm a leader because of how I show up and the context I provide. And to me, all of those skills were learned as a theater kid.
That's so awesome. So I'm hearing leadership as action.
Always.
Yeah.
Leadership is action because, again, that's how you build trust. When you think about trust is the foundation of everything.
Okay.
So 2 ways you're trustworthy, either ethically, I trust you with the keys to my car and my wallet and my kid. Okay, great. You also could be an ethical human and not trustworthy in the workplace because you don't follow through, you don't take accountability. People can't trust you to get your work done. You got to have 2 aspects of trust. Are you a good human? And can I rely on you to get stuff done? So trust building is how we show up, and it's always built in the follow through. Do you do the things you say you're going to do?
That's so good.
When someone's in the room with you and they're vulnerable, are you a safe space for that? Also, then can you help someone course correct? All of those things build trust. Can I be myself in front of you? Can we serve this client but also draw boundaries with this client in my world of a PR firm? All of that is trust building. And what we find, you work with teams in a different way that I do, but when I'm working with teams and leaders in different organizations, a lot of times they're not getting what they want because there isn't trust there. And the great news for any type A's like me is you can start today and build trust. You could walk into your office today, and today's a new day, but it's all action. Trust can't be built passively. You really have to be in it. And you're going to show up in this today and build trust. And even if you feel like you've come from a place where, that wasn't great, today's a new day. And it's action to build trust.
I love that. I love that. We say trust is something that takes a long time to build, a short time to lose, and an even longer time to rebuild, right? But you also bring up the importance of trust repair as well as trust building.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that trust repair part, especially when you're in crisis.
Oh, we love a crisis. My firm, Intesa, we do a lot of crisis communications. And so to back up there, the context for that is we do it for people who they may be in a bad spot, but they got there accidentally or they're sorry. They know they have work to build trust and confidence as they journey through it. We don't take the bad guys. We don't take people who aren't sorry. A lot of money in that, but we don't take it because that's not authentic to who we are. And everybody could get better. So what we do when someone comes to us in crisis, there's different levels of crisis, but their reputation is under attack. We say to them, okay, not how do we make it go away? It's how do we build trust and confidence as we journey through this really uncomfortable period. And so for some folks who build goodwill every day, they've got lots of goodwill in the trust bank. And if they slip a little bit, it's okay. Got it. Right? Some people have never worked to build goodwill. They've just figured out they need to do it. That's a harder hole to climb out of, but you can. You can start every day building trust and confidence as a leader. You gotta bring your board with you. You gotta bring your employees with you. You may also have to master the art of the apology to build trust. The worst, obviously, is when people say, I'm sorry if anyone was offended, or I'm sorry if you were offended. No. You offended people. People are offended. Let's just say, I'm really sorry. We've learned this lesson. This is how we're going to do better. That builds trust and confidence. It's an action. Yes, you're right. It takes time. But there's such a joy in that work because every day you can see incremental change. And, it'd be great if you could start early. I would encourage anyone who's listening to start today, figure out how you would handle when things go wrong, figure out, do people trust you now? Because if they don't trust you now, they're not going to trust you when something bad happens. So we got to build that today. And those are just all little things you can do. You can show up in a way that builds trust and provides context every day. And then if you don't do it very well today, you can wake up tomorrow and you can try it again. And for me, I'm kind of this eternal optimist. And so I will always view it that way. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. Right. None of y'all listening are perfect. That's right. And that's great because that means we're all in it together. We can all have each other's back. Leadership is how you show up. And if you've got a crappy boss or you have a toxic work environment, you can't control any of that. But how do you show up? Right. And what leadership can you provide in that moment? I love, the control freak in me loves that there's some things I can control, and it's how I show up.
Very good. So I want to go back a little bit to a good apology.
Oh, yeah.
Because I heard you say we have to teach people how to apologize.
Oh, yeah.
Talk a little bit about, because I don't think many people know how to apologize.
Well, we're not taught that. We were taught shame, even if it's subconsciously or someone didn't mean to do it. We grow up, most of us, where you should be ashamed if you did something wrong. And that's not a slam on any parenting. That's the world we live in. Yes. You should be ashamed when you do things wrong. So then how do we hide it? How do we make it go away? We are not, most of us do not have the tools to walk through shame on to the next place, right?
Wait. You said walk through shame.
Like that.
Okay.
Because this is when people call, right? When I think about the crisis communicator lens, it is tempting to have people go, well, let's get out in front of it. Got to get out in front of it. Let's make it go away. Well, let's get under this thing so they won't see this. Let's distract with this. And to pull from kind of the AA philosophy of you can't go around it, you can't go above it, you got to go through it. That to me is a really powerful lesson for all of us. Because if you have done something wrong, even if you didn't mean to, you have to own it and say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that our policy was hurtful. I'm sorry that our words felt this way, were this way, landed in the way they did. We're going to do better.
Yes.
If you ever use the if you are offended, I'm sorry if the word if ever comes in, then you're not walking through the shame you feel or through the embarrassment you feel. And leadership is being able to say, oh, that was bad. Yes. And be the first one to apologize. Someone has to go first, right? Leadership is going first. Leadership is action.
Yes.
And you build trust and confidence by journeying through it. And if you try to say you didn't do it, people can see. Yeah. People can read. People can hear. They know you did it. Yeah. So then trust eroded. So good. You got to go through it, and it's going to be uncomfortable. And your board, your stakeholders, your partner, your kids, people are going to be like, this is so uncomfortable. Yes. And this too shall pass. It'll pass like a kidney stone, but it'll pass. I mean, the world, we move forward.
Yes.
And moving forward and helping people move forward through that shame or through that apology, that is true leadership and how you learn and how you build trust with your employees, constituents, stakeholders.
So good. All right. We got a leader shift secret, y'all. Leaders go through the pain. Not around, not under. But I also heard you say leaders take ownership for the impact of their actions and their decisions.
Yeah.
Right? How is ownership, is it different, similar to responsibility? Because I hear folks go, I don't want to take responsibility for this, but how do you take ownership versus responsibility? Do you need both? Is it different? Talk about that.
That's a good one. To me, the buck stops somewhere. There's leadership as in how you show up. Yes. Then there's someone has to make the hard decisions and someone has to be held accountable, ultimately at the end of the day, responsible for what goes on at a company or an organization. And so to me, when we think of a leader in a title sense, right, you can take ownership. You may not have been responsible for the action, but you take ownership that the buck stops with you, that you are the one who is in charge of this organization. And at the end of the day, you can own that we need to do better.
Got it.
Right? It doesn't mean you're saying, I pushed Joe off his bike, right? But Joe was pushed off his bike here. And so we have to be just honest with people. And that's how you build trust and confidence, right? If you think about your close friend or family that you're actually really close to, maybe it's a coworker, and you can really have a bad day together. Like, that was not our best. And you can come back maybe a couple hours later and go, I am so sorry. I am really having a hard day. I took it out on you. I should not have. I didn't mean it when I said that. And that person's like, thank you for saying that. Oh, I shouldn't have said what I said to you. We good? We good? Yes, we good. Yes. So we expect that out of our interpersonal relationships. And then when it comes to organizations, we're like, flowery statement, avoiding an issue. If you're offended, we're sorry. But we would never accept that with our interpersonal relationships because we wouldn't trust that person. And so I would say you got to manage that relationship. And then if you are the top dog in an organization, you do need to take ownership. Again, I understand that not responsibility like I did it, but I will own that it happened on my watch. Nice. And to me, that helps employees know that they've got some cover. Now, we're not talking about like horrible, negligent, disrespectful, like uber racist, crazy stuff, right? No. But when someone makes a genuine mistake and something bad happens, I am the founder of Intesa, and ultimately the buck stops with me. Yeah. I have an incredible business partner, and ultimately, though, I founded the company. I take ownership for what happens there, even if I was not personally responsible. But it would never occur to me to not. That's the joy of leadership as a position, and not just in how you show up. Is I get to ride the wave when folks do awesome stuff.
Yes.
Why do I think I get to get off when people fall off their bikes? Like, you don't get to pick one. You don't get to just sign up for the good stuff. Again, like any relationship, it can be good days, it can be bad days, and you don't go, well, we're not married today, but we're married when you want to take me to Italy. To me, that's leadership.
Yes.
You got to own it every day.
Very good. Well, now let me say, I'm still back with Joe getting pushed off the bike. Poor Joe. Right? But then Joe just got a trip to Italy.
I know, see? And so it's both. You're with Joe no matter what.
No matter what.
But it doesn't mean you couldn't have done better. You're not saying Joe didn't really fall off his bike.
Yes.
You're saying, my bad, we should have paved that street better, Joe.
Yes.
And that's hard. You're going to have lawyers be like, you can't say you're sorry, and you can't. We love working with lawyers because I do think it's a good partnership to have comms people and lawyers in the same room. There is a way to apologize that is sincere and builds trust and doesn't put you at legal risk. So no lawyers come for me.
So let's talk about communication and a word that's thrown around like all the time these days, transparency.
No.
Okay.
No. I keep going.
No.
I have thoughts. No. You're right. It's thrown around and people are like, oh, we got to be transparent.
Yes.
No. You want to be authentic.
Yes.
And you want to be real and you want to give people the right context and information. But you shouldn't just completely open your books and just show everyone your diary and let every bit of sausage be seen. It's too overwhelming. It's without context. I love the idea of we are sharing how we come to decisions, but it doesn't mean we have to stream every meeting. I think government folks, that's a struggle. But I think it is the perception of transparently in a sincere form. We are showing you as much as makes strategic, thoughtful, sincere sense.
Yes.
We're not just throwing everything at you. And that may be a controversial opinion, but I really do believe that. Some people get into big trouble thinking they were doing the right thing, and they shared stuff out of context, and the next thing you know, the internet's run off with it. And they didn't need to do that.
Yes.
So I like authentic things that show you are making an effort to show how things are done or made. But complete transparency, I will never be a fan of. Humans can't handle it.
Very good, very good. So we don't have to show how the sausage is being made. We can share our thinking, share the process that we use to come to a decision. We can talk about what we disagreed with, what we agreed with, what we threw out, like that information versus 100% access to everything.
It just doesn't make sense. Like none of us, I think this is, side note, one of the challenges with social media and just the internet in general, thinking back to when we didn't know a lot about each other, like some people you knew a lot about, some people were just, the guy who, is the barista or is just the woman you see, at the nail salon, and you didn't know their political opinions and like everything about them and all the religious beliefs and we had these kind of weak ties that were still important, but we weren't overburdened by all these decision points on, am I okay with that person, how they are? To me, that's transparency gone awry, is we just know way too much. And so because we're humans and we can't help ourselves, we judge it. And we judge it without context. And I don't think it's helpful. Like you said, I love the idea of, let me provide to you, tell the story of how you came to, in a truthful, authentic way. But the idea that we just open up every piece of ourselves as our organization or as a person or as a leader, I just don't think humans were built for that much data incoming. And we get weird. We get weird. And then people are afraid to have conversations or really be honest about how they feel. When people come to us in crisis, there's usually someone who says, oh, I saw this coming. I just didn't want to be Debbie Downer. I didn't want the minutes to reflect that I said, I think Joe's going to fall off his bike unless we do this thing, because everybody, there was great momentum in the room, and I just didn't want the record to reflect that I'm the one. And so when people are scared of that sausage making, because that's how we get ideas, then it stifles that. So I get there's got to be a good balance, and especially for our friends and public entities. But I don't think it's full transparency. I don't believe in it.
Got it. So talk a little bit about, you are a person who ends up in positions, roles where you have to lead leaders, right? Talk a little bit about what are some of the maybe 2 to 3 key components of leading people who are leading businesses, teams, right? You're chairing the board of the San Diego County YMCA, right? What are some of the things you think about, you deploy when you're leading a room full of leaders or a person leading an organization through a tough time?
Yeah. It's work that brings me a lot of joy. The fact that so many people in San Diego and beyond have me on speed dial for some of their worst days. I mean, they call me for good stuff too, but not as much as they call me for bad stuff. It's an honor and a joy to have that kind of trust with someone, because these are high-profile folks. And so I don't have to tell these people who run universities and major nonprofits and for-profits how to do their job, because they do their job with excellence, or else they wouldn't be in that role. It is more of a gut check, a reminder of, hey, I know right now you feel like this is the closest gator to your boat, but don't forget about X or Y. Sometimes it's just, hey, in my experience, I want you to know this feels really crappy today. This feels really bad. It will not be as bad as you think. Let's role play this. Let's scenario build. So sometimes it's just helping them take a breath. Sometimes it's just being a safe place for leaders to feel like they can vent. If you are a leader and you don't have someone in your life that you can call and vent through a tough decision under pressure, you need someone who doesn't work for you, who you can have that conversation with. That's because anyone who works for you is affected by by the outcome. So sometimes these leaders just need a place, someone who doesn't work for them, who is not affected, where they can talk. And it's an honor to be in that kind of trust circle. And the other thing is for them to remember that not everyone knows about this right now. Like, people will, when you're feeling under duress, you feel like everyone knows. Everyone's coming for me. Everyone is about to stop everything they're doing and focus on my scary thing. And so some of what we do, and what I do when folks call me, is just to say, let's really be honest about, or I guess that's the wrong word, practical about what this is. Is anyone in danger? We kind of walk through and kind of help them take a breath, help them calm. And usually it is someone who loves them dearly. It's like a board member or a lawyer who's really smart, or, someone who loves this leader dearly has called and gotten them in a swivet about something. And so they feel like that's the thing that needs their attention. We always say sometimes the folks who love you most are going to lead you down into this panic hole. Yes. And we need you to not be down in there, because no leader can make their best decision out of fear. And when someone who you love and trust has called you and made you panicky because they love you and they think they're being helpful, you're not going to make your best decision. So we also say, well, let's think about this. For example, we were helping a major nonprofit who came under national fire and for transgender rights, and people were making this leader feel like people who love this leader in this organization were making this leader feel like the best thing this organization could do is go tell the whole internet, I promise you we're safe. And I was like, the whole internet doesn't think you're not safe. And it was like, oh, right. So sometimes as that leader under duress, you just need someone to kind of reality check you a little bit in a loving way who doesn't work there. Yes. And that's tough. I find a lot of leaders, I know you and I have talked about this before, are isolated. Yes. And now I mean leader as in title, not how you show up. The title leader is often very isolated up there. and that's not going to serve you in a crisis.
It's so good. It's so good. And that leader also benefits from having a thought partner or coach who can also lovingly say, don't ever say that again.
Oh, yes. Yes. I always say, we're just going to keep that in our heart.
Yeah.
We are not.
You've thrown Joe off the bicycle. Yeah. You got gators next to your boat.
And then now we're going to keep this in our heart. I'm from the South, Doc.
Okay.
You know how we do. You're exactly right. And that's why people call you for coaching. Folks call me in a crisis, and they need to be able to say the thing to you in a really honest way. And then, like you said, be able to hear someone who's got their back say, you're not going to say that again. Let's think of some other ways we could say that. It's great for you to know. It's great for me to know that that's where their brain is.
That's right.
And the trust you have to have with a coach like Doc or, a crisis expert like me, you have to trust that you can say some stuff.
Yes.
Because you're operating out of fear and you're not thinking straight. Then you got to be open to, okay, well, there's probably a better way to say that, or there's a better way to conduct that meeting. Yes. So I would say to leaders, both leaders who show up and leaders with title, find either that person in your life or that coach that can be that for you. And if you think you're destined for leadership with title and maybe one day you want to be mayor or president of that university or CEO of that major nonprofit, don't you dare walk up that mountain alone. Don't you dare do it. I'll have leaders say, well, I have my dog. And I'm like, honey, that dog loves you. Like, that dog is not helpful, right? That's just love. That's just love. Unconditional love. And that's not what you need in crisis.
Yes.
And so that's a big piece of advice, too. One day you're not going to just show up as a leader. You are going to be on that journey, if you're not already, into title leadership. And one of the biggest gifts you can give yourself is coach or close ally who doesn't work for you at your organization that can be honest with you, and you can be vulnerable in front of.
Yeah. Generational differences.
Yeah.
We've got 5 generations, right, at play in the workplace, in our communities, in our organizations. 2 to 3 ways you see communicating across those generations that's important for leaders to understand. I'm 60 years old.
You're looking good, Doc.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Right? Coming on to 61.
There you go.
And I realize that there are some things and ways that I just think differently and have been brought up differently and have different references. What are some of the ways as you work across organizations, industries, and generations that are important for leaders to understand?
That is a really fun topic. That could be a whole other, man.
Stay tuned.
I can't wait to listen to whoever that guest is. But this is a fun thing to think about on the spot, right? Because I want to think about this more. But what I'm in my head thinking about in this moment is the younger set, which is right now folks who are showing up as leaders. They may not have the title, but they're trying to show up. They're very open to, I want to just say, therapy.
Yes.
Like that younger generation of, we talk about everything and we think about our feelings, and we're more open to being vulnerable, and we're not afraid to say this or that, or take a mental health day or any of that. And then my older generation, my more vintage clients. So I'm 45. So to me, I'm kind of in the middle of who I'm talking about.
You said 25.
That's right. I said 25. Doc. You heard that right. And that the group older than me are kind of shocked because I don't know about your work, but sometimes my work borders on therapy.
Yes.
And I'll be like, hey, I am not trained or qualified to help you with this thing. But some people, when it comes to public speaking or leadership in a meeting or saying no to their boss or a client, can't do so because they have like a heart and soul blockage on standing up for themselves or setting boundaries or following through on boundaries. And so what I find is that younger set, so I'm just going to say folks younger than me, 45, 25, they're more open to that conversation. And then the older set has never thought about it before. And so often when I say, have you considered therapy? I think therapy would help you with some of these soul blocks that affect your communication style.
Yes.
And some of them are just blown away. And then they go do it, and they come back, and they are just an immensely better communicator, like measurably better, because they've taken care of this heart and soul block. And but that's usually an aha moment.
Yes.
Whereas the younger set will go, oh, I'll go talk to my therapist about that, because they already have one. Mm-hmm. And do you notice that?
Yes, absolutely. I'm thinking as well about my personal journey, where I remember being a younger consultant, and I would give directions very vaguely to a group of participants who were older than I am, right? And I remember an older consultant came up to me and he said, why aren't you more direct and clear?
Yeah.
And I remember doing some like reflecting and going, oh, because I was taught you don't tell older people what to do.
Oh, yes.
Right? So then I was like giving broad directions so that they could figure out what to do. And he's like, well, that ends up feeling more disrespectful than respectful. Ooh. He goes, respect is speaking with clarity so people understand. But to your point, I had that, my mom was on my shoulder going, don't you tell me what to do. Right?
It's real.
It's real.
It's this is where also then you lose some folks older in the older bracket than me is they'll go, oh, no, like I'm not trying to say my mama wasn't a good mama. Like, no. We're not saying that.
That's right.
And so that's the part where I do think you're really onto something about just the generational differences, and I'm open to talking about how I was raised, and I mean by the world that raised us and the time we were being raised, the standards and what was respectful, and I think this is why I wonder if the theater kid thing has always helped me. I mean, I know that I'm like the most confident person anyone's met. But I think that's because that was the job. Like, you show up and you got to bring the joy and the energy. You're not going to be the team member that shows up to rehearsal and is like whiny and hasn't done their job and is like bringing the energy down, because live theater is all about that energy. So sometimes I wonder if people weren't used to anything where they had to bring an energy, like it was expected of you. It doesn't matter how old you are, because you're in a room of adults and they expect you to behave like the rest of them. I wonder if that is one of the reasons I've always been so confident running a meeting or telling folks with all these multiple PhDs, hey, I think you've talked enough. Let's hear from the administrative assistant, because that's what you do. It doesn't matter, and I really do think the theater thing helped me see the room as a team instead of the room as a hierarchy. But I do think there is something about the ages and what we are taught, and what a gift. What a gift that person said that to you. How old was that person in relation to you?
I was in my late 20s, and they were in their early 60s.
Oh, good gift.
Yes.
Really good gift. Because that person, in early 60s, my friends in the early 60s are already like, they don't care. They're like, I don't care.
Yes.
And so the fact that person took the time to cross the room and mentor you in that way.
Absolutely.
And to me, that's what it's all about. I remember I had someone cross the room to me, and this is something that I'm going to speak for women. Women often struggle with this, where we apologize all the time. And I had been called in for this meeting at a university in front of all these fancy pants people. And my job was to remind them, hey, we got to be on message. We got to say these things. And I said, hey, I'm sorry to pull focus onto this. I'm sorry to take up your time with this, but here's the handout. This is the kind of thing we really need. I'm sorry to... And I was doing it because I felt like I'd been repetitive and felt like I was taking up their time, these very important people. And this man crosses the room I'd never met before. Important man. And he said, hey, I just want you to know you seem real smart and like you really know what you're doing. You should not apologize in meetings. And I was like, oh, like I just wasn't even thinking about it, right?
Good.
And he said, every time you do, you owe Promises to Kids, the nonprofit here in San Diego, $25. And I was like, okay. So I only did it 3 times after that and never done it again. Unless I did something wrong.
Yes.
But what a gift that this person who didn't know me was, about, I'm going to guess, hope he doesn't hear this and go, what? I'm going to guess like 20 years older than me. I don't know. Cross the room to tell a woman he doesn't know a way that she could communicate more effectively. And I do hope we're all showing up like that for each other.
Very good.
I really do. I think it's such a gift.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you talked about confidence. You talked about voice, right? You talked about really taking up space, right? And you talked about as a woman. Blend those and talk about what are some of the challenges you face? Because I would imagine when you speak with that voice and confidence that some people are shocked or can't handle.
Yes. I know there's nothing for scale here, but I am very short and small. 5 foot tall, with like heels, maybe 5'2". And so when I walk into a room, if people don't know me, they probably think one voice and one demeanor is about to come out, and then I take charge. I go back to theater. To me, you are cast in this play for some reason. You have a role. You're at rehearsal. You better have some value to add. You also need to know this is your part. And so you do that part, and then you observe and you learn. And if you have a way to help that person, you can offer it up. At the end of the day, though, the director's going to make that decision. And so I think that's how I grew up. So when I show up, you invited me to the meeting for a reason. So I'm not going to just sit here.
That's right.
And then, blessing and a curse of my personality is if no one in the room is taking ownership or leadership, I'm going to fill that void because I'm not going to waste people's time.
Yes.
We start on time, we end on time. So I think some of it is a little personality driven, but some of it is the way I was raised of. And I say this to women all the time when I do these like women kind of speaking engagement things for women groups in different corporations, is they're like, well, that's not my role. That's not my place. I'm like, well, I would stop inviting you to a meeting.
Yes.
If you always came to a meeting and you never had anything to offer, I would just stop inviting you. Because why are you here? And so know your role. I don't mean know your place as in like,
Right.
I mean know your place and your role and own it. And it does come back to ownership and it does come back to showing up as a leader. Otherwise, why are you there?
Yeah.
Like you were invited to this thing. Let's go. And if they say to you, hey, you're speaking too much in meetings. Okay. But much better than be like, I didn't even know she was there.
Yes.
She was in the meeting. I'd much rather be told to hush.
Yes.
And, that is a thing for women. We will overbake those biscuits.
Yes.
We will overthink it. Was that another one?
That was another one.
Do you need to start like a glossary of terms?
Absolutely.
Overbaking the biscuits is overthinking it.
Okay.
And as women, I'm sure lots of folks, but I can only speak for women.
Yes.
We do overthink it. Am I speaking too much? Am I speaking too little? Did I dress right? Am I underdressed? Am I overdressed? You just need to show up as a leader. And if for you, leaders wear suits, put on a suit. Like, just do it. Idara has this great book, The Confidence Talk.
Yes.
And she has a whole section about how to dress as a woman. And then when you always have someone raise their hand and go, I'm offended that you're saying women have to dress differently and do whatever. I'm like, okay, you can be offended. It is still true.
Yes.
Women have to move through the world a little differently. I can't even imagine how women of color have to move through the world.
Right.
This is as a white lady.
Yes.
You do. The answer is you do. And so get smart on it.
Yes.
Know your role. Show up as a leader. And don't be afraid to take up some space in that room. Because you're in the room. Doesn't matter why they invited you. Doesn't matter if it's because you're the only black person or the only woman or the only Asian man. I don't care.
Facts.
You're in the room. Yes. So now run that table. Yes. Like every time I got invited someplace just because I was a woman, I ended up taking charge.
Yes.
Doesn't matter why you're there. Just get in there. And then show them the real reason you should be in that room.
That's right.
But nobody's going to do that for you.
That's right. And the importance of not expecting perfection.
No, I'm not perfect. Are you perfect?
Heck no.
Mm-mm.
No.
No. We all going to fall off the bike.
That's right.
But if we hadn't, like I remember when my first press release I ever sent out when I was working in the Department of Children's Services in the state of Tennessee, I was so proud. I was the public information officer, and it was my first press release with my name as the contact. And I sent it out, and I sent it to the press corps because Nashville's the state capital, and my office was right there. And one of the he was probably in his 70s at the time. I was like 22. And he walked by and he said, you might want to spell check that. And I'd sent it out to the whole state. And instead of public information officer, I had put pubic information officer.
Oh, that's a problem.
And I have never made that typo again.
Yes.
So you're going to have to make some mistakes. And if you are not able to fall off your bike, you're not going to get very far either as a leader who shows up or a leader in title. That's right. Because none of us are perfect. And we have to learn the hard way sometimes. You got to show yourself some grace. Yeah. And then you got to actually learn.
That's right.
You got to actually learn from it, and sometimes the hard way is how we learn.
Absolutely. This is so fun.
I could talk to you all day.
Right back at you. Pitfalls, potholes, tough times. How do you center yourself, Margie, and keep that balance?
I trust myself. I just trust myself. I know that I'm smart and capable. I know that I've got a village of people. I know I'm not perfect. I know that I'm authentically me as much as I can be. And that as a business owner, as a communications person, as a friend, as a wife, as a mom, like even when I haven't made the best decisions, it has all worked out in the end every time. And so I just trust myself. I know of a friend, Jamie Moraga, is writing a book about women leaders. And one of the questions she'd been asking folks is, women CEOs, was something to the effect of, is it ever an issue or is it ever a problem for you to think, oh, the buck stops with me? Like, are you ever afraid to make that tough choice or whatever? And what gives you the courage to make tough business choices? And that was my answer still, is I trust myself implicitly. Because if I don't, again, you can't make these choices out of fear.
Yes.
And if you don't evolve and you don't make choices, if you don't hire, if you don't fire, if you don't really think about strategically what you want to do in life or in your business, you're not going to move you can't move through it.
Yes.
You'll be stagnant. And I don't want to be stagnant. I don't want to do anything that compromises my values. And I trust that at the end of the day, even if it was a weird decision or slightly off, those things are going to hold true. And so I trust myself as a leader and as a wife and a mom and a human. I don't think everybody does. Yes. And I don't have the advice for how to help you do it. I think you have to mess up a little bit. Yeah. You have to accidentally write pubic information officer and then go, okay, I'm still here.
Yes.
I'm still here. I have my job. I'm going to be okay. I've fixed my spell check. You kind of have to do that to test and know that you're real and you're going to survive.
Yes.
To me, that's how you learn to trust yourself, is by messing up and you're okay.
Yes. It's so good. The message of we get to be human in these roles. I think so often, whether it's society or people, expect perfection as opposed to humanity. And the idea of, as you're saying, I love what you're saying about, I get to be real. And that includes learning. And that includes seeing my mistakes, recovering from those mistakes, and then failing forward and learning faster.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm always fascinated by folks who, like the analysis paralysis.
Yes.
That is not me. I'm just like, let's go, let's do. Which is why my business partner, Maddie Kilkenny, and I make a good pair, right? She's more, conservative in her approach, and I am much more like, let's just go. And I think that's part of it. I'm not one who's going to overthink it. I'm going to, think about it just enough. Yeah. I think by processing out loud, I got to talk about it. And I think that, again, that goes way back to what we talked about at the beginning is, as a leader, you either need a really good business partner or you need a therapist or you need Dr. Stephen Jones as your coach, because you got to be able to not get just bogged down in what I call the panic hole or the decision hole. If you want to be a leader, both as how you show up or in title, you got to act.
That's right.
And you got to trust yourself, and you're going to fall down, and then you're going to get up.
Yes.
You're going to get up, and because we all do.
Yes.
And I think if you can surround yourself with people who show you that grace, not afraid to call you out. Like, you need people who are going to tell you your fly is down.
Yes.
But they're not going to stop being your friend.
That's right.
And I think people are afraid of that. What if I am not the person who can always say yes? It's important to be able to say no. And as a leader, those tough choices, you got to trust yourself that even if at the end of the day it was the wrong choice, we're still here.
That's right.
We're still human, and we get to try again.
That's right. That's right. Somebody told me once, they said, when you say no, your yeses mean more.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I like that.
And so holding on, you talked earlier about boundaries, right? Being able to set and hold those boundaries at work, in our personal lives. But I'm also thinking, Margie, about, you've mentioned therapy a number of times in
big
our
believer.
conversation, right? And I think about healing.
Yeah.
Right, because that's what folks go to therapy or church or a mosque right, to say, how do I continue to heal and grow and develop, right? And so I think that idea of where do I go for healing? That could be the beach, right? Where do I go for healing? That could be a mental health day and going to Disneyland, or, but the idea of mental health, where do you go to refuel that mental health piece for yourself?
I sleep. I am like an Olympic level. I'm an Olympic athlete of sleep.
Okay.
I sleep 8-9 hours a day. 10 is like the goal. Mm-hmm. I have to. If I don't have sleep, I am no good for anybody. So I protect it at all costs. And for parents of young children, just know that this too shall pass. You will sleep again if you're like me, and that was very difficult. I sleep. I talk it out. Like I said, I've got in my business at Intesa Communications Group, I have a wonderful, thoughtful, trustworthy, reliable business partner in Maddie Kilkenny. I am very fortunate to have a husband who is a life partner for me in that way. I can talk things out with him. I did do a lot of therapy after my divorce. Okay. And that was huge to know yourself better, like you said, healing. But sleep is how I heal. My husband always says if I was, I would never have lasted in the hunter and gatherer phase, because when I get stressed, I just go to sleep.
Got it.
Like, I'm not running from the bear. I'm just going to crawl up in a tree, sleep.
Even though the bear can crawl.
The bear can go up that tree too, but I will be well rested when I go. I just think you have to listen to your body and know what you need. And kind of side note is the culture we've built at Intesa Communications Group. There's 9 of us, and we're really big believers in put your mask on first, take care of yourself. When we are talking to clients, and we've got everybody from nonprofits to land developers to universities to a theme park, we got everything. And the thing we say to them is, hey, we're not a 24/7 firm.
Yes.
I want my folks to work hard and bring you their best energy and their most thoughtful, strategic mind, and then they're going to go be with their family. Yes. Or when their mama gets sick, they're going to go take care of their mama. And when their dog dies, they're going to go heal. And because then they're going to come back and be great humans. We do unlimited paid time off. Yes. We do the things that keep these humans operating at top level. Yes. We've all worked at really crappy work environments. And I always did say if I ever owned my own shop that the humans would come first. Yes. We don't work for jerks, and we don't work our people to the bone, because then they won't be at their best.
That's right.
And when a crisis happens, we're the first one there. We'll do 24/7 in a crisis, and then that crisis is going to go away, and we're going to go back to life. That to me is how you stay whole, and drawing those boundaries, but then enforcing it. A lot of people forget that the boundary isn't the thing you say. It's the action that happens when someone crosses over the thing you said. That's on you.
Yes.
I can't stop you from tripping over that boundary that I've laid. But if I don't enforce what I said I was going to do, if you did, it's not a boundary. And so as business owners, Maddie and I are very serious about, finding the right people to partner with who are going to be good to our people, because they're everything we have. And I want that for myself too.
That's right.
And so I think part of leadership is, it's all action, like we've talked about, but action also to protect, to keep your promise to your people. It's real lucrative to work 24/7, but that's not the promise we made to our employees. And so we're very careful to help people, give them time to heal, let them be rested, and let them come in and do their best work during the day.
That's right. That's so good. It reminds me of, I have a sister who, Brenda White, who passed away, unfortunately, about 2 years ago.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you. And she would always say, I realize that I have to train people on how to communicate with me.
Amen.
She's like, I know that they don't know what's okay and what's not okay.
I'm going to clap for that.
Right? She's like, so when they make a mistake and cross over a line, she's like, I know they don't know.
Right.
So I inform them. And then if they do it again, I know that they know.
Right. And now you know.
Now you know.
But I love that grace. That's another thing we just really don't do these days is we just assume the worst intention.
Yes.
And I love what she said because show the grace, give people the benefit of the doubt.
Yes.
And then they know. And that's any relationship.
That's
right.
right.
That teach me, you should be open to someone teaching you how to love them.
Yes.
And then they should be open to teaching you, saying, this is how you love me. And if that fit is not there, that's okay. That's okay. But you have to be the one that enforces that.
Right.
And I get that not everyone has the freedom or the privilege to hold the line. But if you have the privilege, like I do, of being the one who holds that line for other people, you could offer me all the money in the world. It's not worth it to hurt them because I've made a promise as an employer to these humans. And you don't get to be the one that I break the promise for, but that's me.
That's right.
That's on me. I'll give you grace the first time,
Yes.
and then we're going to get real serious.
And I think that's what so many people saw after COVID.
Yeah.
Right? With the quiet quitting and folks going, no, because you say so doesn't mean that it's the so I will follow.
Right.
Right? And so this idea of telling doesn't equal leading.
No. Yeah, it's action.
Yes.
Like it's really just, that's to me the headline that, and it's not, like you said earlier, it's not like a quick hit. Like trust is built over time.
That's right.
And you have to, as a leader, show up, regardless of your title, build that over time. You don't have to have the fancy title to manage up, to lead, even in crisis. You don't have to be the CEO. You got to be the person who gives context and is a steady hand. And, I wish more people felt empowered by that. So many people are only title centric. Again, that's because that's how they were raised. But it's so much more than that. And you don't need any of that to be a leader and for people to see you as a leader and then teach others, mentor others once you've got it. Like the people who cross the room for us. At some point, you're going to cross the room and help other people. And that's leadership.
That's right. That's right. Well, it is clear that Margie and I can go on for another hour.
All day.
All day.
All day.
And a day.
And a day. Twice on Sundays.
Well, thank you so much for gracing us with your knowledge, your wisdom, your experience, Margie, here at the Leadership Secret Podcast. Really appreciate it. And so thank you big time.
Thank you for having me. I hope my folks who are listening to this, thanks for listening, y'all, go back and listen to these others. Because as I've been listening to the folks you've had on here, I'm just learning something every time. Awesome. And so I would encourage everybody to go listen to all of them or watch, because they really are just these lovely, inspirational nuggets.
It's a pleasure. It is truly a pleasure. Well, we are really excited that you have stayed with us throughout this entire podcast. Really appreciate it. Want to invite you to go to our YouTube channel and subscribe, like, comment, and share. the Leadership Secret podcast. We are committed to continuing to bring you future episodes where I have the privilege and the opportunity to sit with top leaders like Margie Newman, Tsay, and to uncover and unpack those secrets to the future of effective leadership. Thanks for being with us. Thanks again, Margie.
Thank you, Doc.